Donald Trump is waking up like a little cornered rat after that disastrous speech he gave to a joint session of Congress. You have China standing up to Donald Trump, saying that they are ready for an actual war, if that's what Donald Trump wants. You have Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the premiers of Canada standing together, saying that if you're going to continue to bully us with these piecemeal tariffs and then pull the tariffs off and then put them back on, we're just not going to stand for this yo-yo chaos as you destroy our country and attack our people. You have the leader of Greenland responding to Donald Trump, talking about annexing it and conquering it, saying it is not going to happen. And then you have economists saying that Donald Trump is leading the nation right now, or not leading the nation right now, but bringing the nation towards stagflation, low GDP and high inflation. And you actually have a lot of newspapers throughout the country that are actually publishing things like whether it is the time now for you to buy chickens, live chickens, for your backyard because there may not be eggs anymore. This is what it means to live in America under Donald Trump. And to me, it kind of brings me right back to all of the flashbacks of what it was like in March and April of 2020 during COVID when Donald Trump was saying, like a miracle, it's all going to go away. Let's take a look at what Donald Trump is sending to his supporters today. This is real. At 6:29 a.m., Donald Trump sent the following email. Trump was right. After addressing the nation last night, millions are saying Trump was right about everything. That's why we made the Trump was right MAGA hat, so you can wear it proudly as we make America great again. Shop now. So as he's harming the economy, as he's destroying the lives of his own supporters, he wants to make sure that they buy a MAGA hat that says Trump was right about everything. The Des Moines Register, they post the following. With tariffs looming, Trump urges farmers to have fun selling their products domestically. And Donald Trump reiterated that message at the joint session where he said, have fun, everybody. These tariffs, isn't this a great deal of fun? Just take a look at the various headlines that America woke up to. The Wall Street Journal, how uncertainty from Trump's tariffs is rippling through the economy. Trump's tariffs cause chaos in the auto industry. Tariff war risks sinking the world into a new Great Depression. The world economy could face a crash similar to the Great Depression of the 1930s. This is the Wall Street Journal headline, okay? This is Rupert Murdoch's own paper, The Wall Street Journal. I'm just being clear what I'm reading right now. The two-headed monster stalking the economy has a name, stagflation. This is from The Telegraph. China says it's ready for war with America. Beijing boosts its defense spending by 7.2% and warns Washington that it is prepared to fight until the end. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson says intimidation does not scare us. Anyone using maximum pressure on China is picking the wrong guy. If war is what the United States wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any other type of war, we're ready to fight until the end. And by the way, as China is announcing a 7.2% increase in its defense spending for 2025, the United States of America, under a former Fox News host named Pete Hegseth, is talking about major cuts to the defense budget in the United States, cuts by about 8% each year, while China will be increasing theirs basically 8% as well, while America is through all of these wars across the world. Let me be clear. I'm for decreased defense spending. Let me be clear about my position. I'd like to see more spending when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to education, when it comes to supporting our veterans, for building infrastructure. But if you're going to start picking wars with people and saying you want to annex this country and annex that country while lowering your defense spending, do you realize how stupid you look? You look like the orange blob occupying the White House now. And that's how all of these foreign leaders see it. This orange, idiotic, pathetic, weak blob in the White House. Greenland's prime minister responds to Donald Trump, quote, "We are not for sale and we can't just be taken. Our future will be decided by us." In Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is not open to lifting Canada's full package of retaliatory tariffs if U.S. President Donald Trump leaves any tariffs on Canada in place, according to a senior Canadian government official. I'm sure that probably sometime after I'm recording this, Donald Trump will try to announce some fake deal and declare, look how great he is. But ultimately, I want you to know what Canada's position is and how they've forcefully stood up to Donald Trump. Prime Minister Trudeau, the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, they've been doing a great job standing up, I think. Take a look at what also happened this morning that Trump woke up to. The Supreme Court declined the Trump administration's request to pause the lower court order that required it to pay out roughly $2 billion in foreign aid funds to USAID. You had the right-wing justices, Justice John Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Trump appointed Coney Barrett. They joined Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson to form the 5-4. So you had the right-wing justices, Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett. They joined the liberal justices, who I consider the pro-democracy justices, Kagan, Sotomayor, and Jackson. You can even see last night, though, the disgust that Amy Coney Barrett had on her face when she saw Donald Trump. I'll throw up some of that B-roll last night from the joint session. So what this means is that the Trump administration was ordered to pay the contractors who did the work. You know how Donald Trump hates to pay contractors, right? That's always what he did his whole life, is not pay contractors. So to pay the contractors who did the work so that the aid can go to where it's supposed to as part of the money that was already appropriated by USAID. So a massive Supreme Court loss for Donald Trump. Unfortunately, I don't know how many lives were lost by the delay in getting that aid to people, but at least that aid's going to go to people. By the way, the 4 justices, the right-wing justices who were in the dissent, issued a scathing dissent saying that Trump should basically be a dictator or do whatever the hell he wants to do. Look, these Washington Post columnists, you know, I got to give them a hat tip. I think some of this stuff's pretty good right here. Take a look at some of these articles today. As Peter Segal writes, somewhere Jeff Bezos is angrily clicking the track shipment to see what happened to his new editorial page. That's why I got to separate the Bezos and the billionaires, I think, from some of these writers who are having their own resistance, I think, within the Washington Post. Just take a look at some of these headlines. What the Numbers Say About the Erosion of American Freedom by Philip Bump, George Will. This is American greatness only if you have a magnifying glass. Mark Fisher, Virginia spurned Trump 3 times. Why do its politicians idolize him? A classic Trump speech rich in showmanship and at odds with reality. The crypto reserve isn't even good for crypto. How to lose a century in 43 days. The White House's risky cyber offense stand down. I don't like that headline that much. Sorry, David. I'm not sure if you did the headline, but it's not, they're not enforcing cybersecurity against Russia anymore. I think we know the outcome there when you're saying that Russia is not involved in hacking U.S. stuff and you'll allow Russia to infiltrate U.S. systems. In just 5 days, Trump has set the country back nearly 100 years, was the headline by Dana Milbank. It's a good article. Jason Leopold explains new how Elon Musk muscled his way into the FAA. FAA employees are on edge. They were told that anyone who impeded progress of the new FAA SpaceX partnership would be reported to Musk and risked losing their jobs. Also, one of the plaintiffs in the lawsuit against Doge alerted the court, as Kyle Cheney points out, of Donald Trump's remarks at the State of the Union, calling Elon Musk the head of the office. as we predicted, because the Trump administration was trying to claim that Doge isn't its own department. It was just a rebrand of the digital services that already existed, and that in any event, Elon Musk is not its head. Why were they saying that? Well, the White House was saying that because they don't want Elon Musk to have to testify about what he's doing, and they don't want to have him respond to FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act requests, to turn over his emails and his communications. So the White House wants to hide Elon Musk and say that he's Trump's special advisor, so they can claim, which they already have, immunities, Presidential Records Act immunities, executive privilege, to avoid Elon having to actually be transparent to Congress or to the public. But Donald Trump said at the joint session that Elon is the head of a new department called Doge. So the plaintiffs are now bringing that to the attention of the courts, and we'll see what the courts ultimately do there. As I'm sure you saw last night, a Democrat Congress member by the name of Al Green got thrown out of the State of the Union, and a former Republican House candidate named Laverne Spicer says that she is giving her followers the N-word pass. She goes, y'all can call him whatever dirty name you want. Y'all got the N-word pass tonight, is what she's saying. I mean, that is a horrible thing to say. And that is, I mean, again, I don't know how you get more horrible than that. And she was a Republican House candidate, a major MAGA influencer. You saw that the S&P was wiped out yesterday. And then finally, I'll play this clip for you as well. So the MAGA Republicans in the House of Representatives, they're about to do another continuing resolution to fund the government, meaning they're using Nancy Pelosi's budget, which they rail against, and they keep continuing her budget, because at least when the Democrats controlled Congress, the Democrats were able to pass a budget. Republicans can't pass a budget. They can't get their appropriation bills through. So what they're doing is they just keep doing these what are called continuing resolutions to kind of kick the can down the road. But as our editor-in-chief Ron Filipkowski points out, here's MAGA Mike Johnson in November 2023 saying that he's done with CRs and they're not going to do anymore, but all he's done was CRs over and over again, continuing resolutions. Play this clip.
Committed to never being in this situation again. I'm done with short-term CRs. We're resolved. So what that means is you're going to see in the beginning of this next year, we'll be walking and chewing gum at the same time. We're going to get the appropriations process running on time as it's supposed to be under law. The Budget Control Act of 1974 has very specific provisions in there on how this is to be done. Congress hasn't done that for as long as we can remember. But we're going to get back to that because that's good stewardship. The American people deserve it. And the debt situation we find ourselves in necessitates that. So,
the ultimate irony there, too, is they're saying that there's all this fraud. There's all of these problems. But you're doing a continuing resolution. Why don't you do your job in Congress then? If you think there are all of these issues, right? If you think that Elon's found these things and all of these things exist, I have two questions. One, if there's all of this fraud, where are the people being arrested for the fraud? Because fraud's a crime. That's not happening because there's not really this fraud that Elon's saying he's lying about most of it. And then secondly, then why don't you all come together as a Congress? You have control of the House and the Senate and the executive branch, and then just come up with your priorities. Just do it. Just do it yourself. It should be easy then if all of these things exist, but they don't. Instead, they use Pelosi's budget and her appropriations from 2022 because it was the last one that was passed. And the Republicans know that all the stuff they're spewing is crap. Why else would they not pass their own then? That's what I ask. I mean, it's simple logic, right? Anyway, hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers, and thanks for watching.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.